Hello there everyone, welcome to the channel if you're new, welcome back if you aren't, I'm EDJ, and we're starting a new series by Extra History about Eleanor of Aquitaine, and this is a figure who I know nothing about. So yeah, without any further ado, we should just get right into it, and then I can learn who the heck Miss Eleanor is, or I suppose Queen Eleanor? Because she was married to a king. I don't know. Let's find out. So, without any further ado, let's get to it. Let's watch extra histories, Eleanor of Aquitaine series, part 1, Divorcing a King.
April 1137, Paris. King Louis the Fat is having a very up and down sort of day. First of all, he's mortally ill, which of course isn't great, but then a party arrives bringing awful news. William X, Duke of Aquitaine, has died of an unexpected illness. They have his will, stating that his lands will go to his young daughter, and that she is to be under King Louis's care until he can find her a husband. Louis conveys his grief to the messengers, until they leave, when he bubbles over with joy. Because William's Duchy of Aquitaine is the largest, richest province in all of France. And whoever marries this girl, what's her name? Eleanor, or whatever. Yeah, they're gonna get the whole shebang. And it just so happens that Louis has the perfect husband for this land deed and address.
Oh, I'm guessing himself?
Within hours, he's made arrangements to marry Eleanor to his own heir, Louis VI.
Oh, I thought he was about to say himself. Why did my mind go there? Oh boy. My mind was like, is this devious old man about to make himself marry her? And then like, I don't know. But that makes way more sense. He's like ill and old. That makes sense, have his own heir do it. But yeah, that's smart. I feel like she's about to completely like throw him for a loop and end up becoming like the boss in a sense. I don't know. I can't believe I thought he was gonna marry her. Okay, let's get back to the video.
Winning a wife for his son and Aquitaine for the crown, though the son would manage to lose them both. Thanks so much to Brilliant for helping us to tell today's historical tale. On July 25th, 1137, not even 4 months after losing her father, the teenaged Eleanor stood next to Louis VII at Bordeaux Cathedral, exchanging wedding vows with the heir to the French throne. Who was this new husband? She must have wondered. Well, in short, he was a 17-year-old boy who was smitten with her, but also deeply mismatched personality-wise. Louis grew up thinking his older brother Philip would become king, but that changed after Philip tragically, hilariously, brutally died when a horse tripped over a pig. Now, I know what you're thinking. How absolutely awful, Matt. You, don't happen to have a picture of this melancholy event, do you? Oh, yeah, we do.
Oh my god. I love medieval paintings, especially of their animals, because animals look so weird. Especially dogs in certain medieval paintings and like art, but what an inglorious way to die. Literally, your horse trips over a pig and you go... I mean, that's bad that someone died, but it's also like... There's this list on Wikipedia, unique ways people have died, and I've read it, and there are some really funny ones in there. I'm like, oh, I feel bad because this person died, but it's also like, that's how you went out? I'm sorry, that is so bad. That is so bad. I'm so sorry.
Anyway, before the porcine assassin leapt from a dung heap and murked Philip, yeah, it also came out of a dung heap, Louis was bound for the church and educated in a monastery, making him a very, very religious young man who did not have much experience with women outside of his family. But who was Eleanor by contrast? Well, it's hard to know, because we know little about her early life, not even when she was born. We think she was married at age 13, but she could have been a year younger or older. We do know that she received a good education, that she spoke Latin, and that she was very much a person shaped by her home and family. Aquitaine was in the south of France, a rich and beautiful place with its own dialect, where relationships tended to be warmer and more affectionate than in the north. She also came from a family known for its passions. For instance, her grandfather William IX was a poet, who was famous for having painted his mistress's face on his shield and moving her into his castle. So essentially, they were a bit of an odd couple, and not the kind that works. But they'd have to make it work, because less than a week after their wedding, Louis VI died, making this mismatched teenage couple the king and queen of France, and Eleanor arguably the most powerful woman in Europe. As queen consort, Eleanor moved to Paris and quickly found it inhospitable. Though Louis refurbished his palaces to please his southern bride, the intelligent and vivacious Eleanor, who had a fondness for fashion and often spoke her mind, clashed with both her mother-in-law and the abbots who clustered around Louis as his advisors. Also, she was in a precarious spot, because Eleanor had one job: to have a son, and she wasn't having any kids at all. Yeah, there were issues. Eleanor appears to have had at least one miscarriage, and she was still quite young when they were married. Also, Louis himself might not have had his head in the game. See, the medieval church had a lot of rules about when couples shouldn't be baby-making. For example, saints' days and religious festivals were out, as well as times in a woman's menstrual cycle, which narrowed the window considerably. Now, most practical royal couples ignored this, but the hyper-religious Louis may have not. Though in fairness, there were quickly other things preoccupying his mind. Like fighting with the Pope. That began in 1141, when the Pope appointed an archbishop in one of Louis's cities that the king had previously vetoed. The result was a standoff, where Louis denied the archbishop entry, and in retaliation, the Pope banned Louis from certain church rites. Then, shortly thereafter, Eleanor started urging Louis to allow her younger sister to marry one of France's most important nobles. The catch being that this prospective groom was already married, and Eleanor's sister already promised to the Duke of Champagne, the duke who was sheltering that archbishop. Louis saw this request as a win-win-win. Help a friend, please his wife, and mess over a rival. Except it led to the Pope excommunicating the new couple and Louis going to war with Champagne. And when Louis ravaged one of the Duke's cities, he accidentally burned down a church where 1,200 innocents were sheltering, which led to a—
Holy crap. Oh boy, that's a complete mess right off the bat. Beefing with the Pope doesn't seem to always go well for kings. Especially being excommunicated, especially in a very religious society, is just yeah. Is that dude's name really Lord Champagne or Duke Champagne? It's a pretty cool name.
papal condemnation. Eleanor decided to intervene, taking one of Louis's abbot advisors to task for not pleading the king's case with the new pope. And when he blew up at her in return, she apologized, saying that she was so irritable because she didn't have children. Which was probably true enough, but also could have been a sneaky way to go nuclear, make her point, and then walk away with the abbot's sympathy. The abbot eventually did intervene, and by the next year, the papal relationship had been repaired, and she had a daughter. But Louis's conscience had never recovered from the church burning. And when the Crusader kingdom of Edessa fell, and the Pope called for a second crusade to win it back, the king volunteered to wash away his sins. It was the first time a king had gone on crusade, and Eleanor decided she'd come too at the head of her duchy's troops. It was on crusade when things really started to fall apart. Louis argued with the Holy Roman Emperor about which route to take, and the Byzantine Emperor, while complimentary of Eleanor, was unfriendly. Louis also insisted on acting like a pilgrim on the journey, meaning not being near women. A+ move for a troubled marriage. Then disaster struck. Eleanor's contingent was leading the column, and when they were supposed to stop at the top of a mountain and camp, they decided to carry on to a better spot. Louis with the rear guard, and supposedly weighed down by Eleanor's baggage, lagged behind, and the line stretched. When Turkish archers started firing from the rocky slopes, it was essentially a massacre, blamed on Eleanor's contingent. So the couple was already on bad terms when they entered Antioch, a city ruled by Eleanor's dashing uncle, Raymond the Handsome. There, the uncle and niece renewed their friendship with the familial warmth common in Aquitaine, speaking in their own dialect that Louis couldn't understand. Louis got jealous, and rumors spread that Eleanor was having an incestuous affair with Raymond. And this—
Oh, that's devious. Ew. Ew. But it's so cool we're in the area of the Crusades, and kind of seeing this. This is very new, uncharted territory, I feel like, for this channel. I feel like we've covered a lot of medieval esque content so far, which I'm really enjoying personally. I love the medieval era. It's actually my favorite era in history, so always more of that is great personally. And yeah, this marriage ain't gonna last. Eleanor, I feel like, is just gonna take it all, or at least try to, I don't know.
Wedge quickly went from personal to political. When Raymond wanted Louis to attack Aleppo, and Eleanor joined his lobbying effort, in a public break with his wife, Louis opted to go on a pilgrimage to Jerusalem instead, dragging her along as almost a prisoner. It was then she first mentioned the idea of an annulment on the grounds of consanguinity, that they were too closely related. The crusade itself was an expensive disaster. With Crusader forces broken and the couple barely speaking, they got on separate ships to head home. Attacked by pirates and separated in a storm, Eleanor briefly thought Louis was dead, but he wasn't. On a subsequent visit to the Pope, she again suggested annulment, but instead, the Pope offered marriage counseling, which, just to be clear, consisted of showing them a great bed he'd made himself, hung with nice tapestries all around. Ooh, look how bouncy! Why don't you two just spend the night in it, huh?
Yo, no way. Hey, are you guys trying, like, having sex? I'm sure that'll fix everything. Oh my, that's a unique way of marriage counseling.
They did, and had another daughter, which was a relief for Eleanor, because at this point, she was looking for a way out, and her strongest argument was that in 15 years of marriage, she'd only had girls. If she'd had a boy, she'd be trapped. And because their marriage agreement said that Aquitaine was hers until the two had a male heir, now she could walk away with her duchy. Needing a son, worrying for his dynasty, and now barred from Eleanor's bed, even the Pope's sexy time bed, Louis consented, and Eleanor got her divorce, though she had to agree to never see her daughters again, as they were Louis's property. Now 28, the former Queen of France was beautiful, young, still had her enormous duchy, and was once again single, even if only for a little bit. Within 8 weeks, she'd be married again to Henry II, a brash, passionate young man, 10 years her junior, who was also the future king of England. So join us next week for more wearing gowns and collecting crowns as Eleanor takes the English throne. Ooh, and in the meantime,
I kind of like when we watch series, I don't know what's going on, because I feel like I just like kind of learning about this. So that's already quite a power move on her part, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of what she's gonna do. So I'll see you guys tomorrow in part 2. Bye everyone.